I hope you're enjoying Virtual Splash of Pink. I would normally be on the cake stall with my friends, but obviously this year that can't be. One of the most popular bakes that we have on the cake stall when we have them are cakes that look like they're little ice creams. I don't know who was the first genius who thought about baking cakes into ice cream cones, but I salute you. These work really well and they look fantastic, and they're great to make as a family. So I would like to share today with you ice cream cupcakes. It's quite a simple recipe but very effective. I'm making a half quantity today just because of the practicalities of eating them, but I will give you the recipe for making 12. So you need 110 grams of soft butter, and this is really soft. This has been sat out in the kitchen in the packet since yesterday. And then to that we're going to add 110 grams of caster sugar. Now, when you bake, you've got a couple of opportunities to really get the air into and get a good lift on a sponge. And one of the first is when you cream the butter and the caster sugar together. You ideally want to cream it together until it's pale and fluffy, because that's the air trapped in it. So once that's nice and pale and fluffy, you can then add the eggs. So that's 3 eggs in this instance. Now, when I add the eggs, I like to put a tablespoon of the flour in. So again, it would be 110 grams of flour, but we're just going to put a spoon of the flour in, and this helps the mixture to stop from splitting. Most of the time when it splits, it doesn't matter, it just doesn't look particularly nice, but normally once you bake it, it's fine. But putting a bit of flour in with the egg will help with that. Better incorporated before the rest of the flour goes in. To the rest of the flour, before I pop it in, I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder. And then when I put the flour in, this is another opportunity to get air in. So I'm going to sift the flour in. And then just, and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Pop that in there. And then mix it up. And that's all there is to the sponge mix. The original recipe that I saw for this, it said to cover these in foil. So I've got the oven heated to 180. I've actually found that I've baked it without foil. I'd run out of foil one time and I wanted to make these, and it didn't actually make any difference. So I'm not going to be covering them in foil today. And then you just need to share this out between them. You don't actually want this to rise up too much because you want some space. So you don't want to overfill these because you want some space at the top, because you don't actually want to see the cake at the top of it, because you want it to look like an ice cream. So you're going to be hiding the cake with the topping. When Katie Against Breast Cancer asked me to do something for children, I was thinking about it. There's quite a few different bakes that I've done before which would be suitable, but my friend Amanda said, oh, what about the ice cream cakes? So good thinking, Moo. And yeah, like I say, these are always so popular whenever we have them on the stall. The first time I did them on a cake stall was actually 2013, which I think was the first time that I ran the stall for Splash of Pink. And they've been firm favourites ever since. And I have made them, I did a raspberry ripple one because I thought that was quite fun. And I think like a grown-up one with chocolate and hazelnut would be quite good. So when I've perfected that recipe, I'll let you know. And you can decorate them with all sorts of things. Right, so that's those. Now, if you have a mini muffin tin, these fit into there really nicely, so you can use that to bake them in. If you don't, because they're flat bottomed, you can stand them on a baking sheet, and then you pop those in the oven at 180 for about 20 minutes. So I'll show you when these come out. So once those have baked and cooled, they'll look like this. So now we have to make the topping. So again, soft unsalted butter, and that is 225 grams. And to that I'm going to add 450 grams of icing sugar. Now, whenever you want to make a buttercream, you always have to sift the icing sugar in. If you don't, you'll just end up with lumps. It doesn't take that long. I mean, it is a little extra step, but honestly, I've tried it, and I used to get frustrated why the buttercream was lumpy, but yeah, if you use this method, you'll always get it nice and smooth. It's surprising how lumpy actually icing sugar is. So yeah, sift that in, and you will end up with some lumps at the end, but you can just push those through the sieve with the back of a spoon. There we go, just getting to the lumpy bits now. So yeah, just gives that a bit of a push. And then the next thing you need to do is just mix that in with a spoon, and you're kind of pushing it into the butter. You don't want to go sticking the, I'm laughing because I've done it before, sticking the mixer straight into this, because you will end up with clouds of icing sugar. So yeah, just kind of push the icing sugar into that really soft butter with the back of the spoon. And once it starts coming together, and you think you've kind of got most of it somehow in with the butter, there we go, you can see the whole thing's kind of coming together the same type of colour. Then at that point you can use before I mix that any further, I'm just going to add some vanilla essence, and you need 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence. And that again will help it come together. And there you see that's changed. But that's still quite a nice stiff mixture, because you want to create that really nice kind of Mr. Whippy look. So scrape those off, and then we're going to pipe the buttercream on top. Now, when I first started making cakes, I had a really cheap set of plastic nozzles, and I would look at other people's cakes in envy and think, how on earth did they make those really lovely swirls and stars and things? It is all in the nozzle. So this is the one that I'm using. You can see that's a really big star nozzle. It says it's an 8CS on it, and I found that using this you just get really good results. So I folded down the side of that. I'm just going to pop the buttercream into this. Now, if you've not done this kind of piping before and you're a bit nervous, you can always pipe it into the bowl, and then you can take it out of the bowl and put it back into the bag again, so you can kind of have a bit of a practice. Just get as much of that in there as we can. Pull the bag up around it. The other thing you can do before you put it in the bag is you can paint stripes of food colouring up the side of the bag, and then that looks really pretty when it comes out. But let's just get that, yeah, so that's to the point where it's coming out there. And then we just take the cakes and pipe up into the top, and then you can add my personal favourite, a few hundreds and thousands, and a flake. So that's a third of a normal size flake. I've tried them with half flakes, and the flakes are just too heavy, and they fall off. But there you go. So you've got a lovely little ice cream cake with a flake in. I hope you enjoy making these, and if you would like to donate today, you can text Splash of Pink to 70085, and that will make a £5 donation. If you don't want to hear from Against Breast Cancer, you can text Splash of Pink, no info. Thank you.